Hello everybody, Iain Robson here for another episode of Smithfield Farm. Alright, so if you recall from the previous episode, where is this guy? We were cutting down the hay over here, and as you can see I cut down the rest of the hay. It is nice and green, which I like. So this episode we're going to go ahead, oh my goodness, go and ted it. So we can have a good dry crop of hay. I think we're going to use the farm here. So I like this tractor. There we go. It's funny. I don't mind playing with some of these smaller. Where is it? Lower stars. No, I want to change it to tedder mode. I don't mind playing with some of these older tractors. On some of the smaller maps because it's not overwhelming, I guess. It's when you play on an enormous map that it becomes a problem. Oh, that might be a problem actually. Let's change it to. Is there a transport mode for that guy? Is there a transport mode? Let's just check. There is. Good. It can be a little overwhelming when you play in some of the bigger maps when you have small equipment like this. You can use it for some things, but if you want to actually get some field work done at all, it seems like it takes forever, which is, you know, sometimes it can be a little... what's the word I'm looking for here? Really? It's not going to attach here? Oh, that's why. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming just because there's so much... Like, yes, there's such a huge chunk of land to do. Like, let's say, could you imagine using this size of equipment on, like, Missouri? That'd be just a little silly, a little ridiculous, just because the size of it, right? So, perhaps this wasn't the best tedder choice for this type of map. This is definitely a more of an American-style choice, apparently. And it's leading to problems. As always. But yeah, that's kind of like the feeling. I couldn't imagine trying to use this on Missouri, and I'm sure some people would suggest it, mind you, but I don't think I would take their suggestion in that scenario. So there we go. All right, let's change it into tedder mode now. Lower the stars, tedder mode N. There we go. I love how it makes little sounds when you change it. That's so cool. It's one of those, I don't know, it's one of those nice mods that just has a good little, I don't know, it's all right. It's a pretty solid, like, it's a simple mod. But it does its job. Let's say K. There we go. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, it does its job. It does It's not, you know, too crazy on the system, but it's got like a lot of detail on it. You know, given the fact that it's kind of like an old school style rake. I don't know. It's pretty cool. It's one of my favorites, even though I don't use it very much, just because it is such an ingenious little mod. Because you have the different options. So if you want to do stuff like raking or tedding, or that's it, I think. Raking or tedding, I guess, is what you can do with it. But the fact that you can do both of the same thing is pretty cool. And it's actually got a fairly wide area if you think about it. Like, you look how much space you actually, or how much you actually ted all at once. It's pretty impressive, considering at least. I don't know. I know a lot of people ask about this one when I use it, just because I don't use it very often. They're like, oh, what's that mod? But it's called the Agromet. If you look it up on LS 2013, you'll be able to find it there. So, I don't know. I've never seen one of these work in real life before. I've seen lots of other style rakes before and tedders, but not necessarily this style in real life. I'm not surprised by that, just because I'm not around farmers all the time. Like, there's only some times when I'm around them, so I can't say. Like I said, I'm not that surprised that it only happens once in a while. So, Although I don't know how effective this type of how effective drying hay like this would be over other methods. Like, most of the time, drying hay isn't done like this just because I don't know why it's not done like this. I think because it's just not the best way, I suppose. And there definitely are better ways to do it. But this is, I guess, this would be similar, more, I guess, closer to what you'd see in places like England and Wales and Ireland, where you kind of just spread it all out like this and dry it that way. But I've never seen it, let's say that. It's not that it's not done, it's just that I haven't seen it, so oh well. Anyways, one of the other cool things I was, well, I guess I was reading an article the other day about the farm, well, it was in the Farmer's Forum, and it was about bees. And I thought it was pretty interesting because what's kind of happening is there's kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it, a divide between farmers and beekeepers to a certain extent. Because what's happening is some farmers are saying nothing's happening to the bees, and some beekeepers are saying that, but there's also people on the other side doing exactly the same thing, saying, hey, you know, a lot of things is happening to bees, a lot of things is happening to farmers and whatnot because of the bees. And unfortunately, there's no real clear situation. There's no real clear winner in that situation because both people are saying opposite things. So it's, if you're trying to follow it, it can be a little frustrating, let's say that, because there is no clear, here's what you should look out for sort of thing. So, and the funny thing was, I was listening to Peter Johnson, his podcast. It is called Cropline Update. He's a member of OMAFRA, or he's one of the agronomists from OMAFRA, which is the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Farming, I think it is. Anyways, and he was saying that the amount of yield gained from having neonicotinoids, because basically what neonicotinoids does on seeds is like a coating, essentially, and it's kind of like a insecticide coating. Anyways, that's as far as I know, at least. And he was saying that the actual increase in yield from having coated seeds is not that much, particularly in stuff like, I think it was soybeans and corn. It really surprised me. Because I think he said it's like 0.6 bushels in some scenarios. And there are situations where he said it could be upwards of, I think it was like 4 to 6 bushels. That's only in extreme cases, but I think it was like, he was saying it was only like 1% of the time that was the case, which is not very much. And I've seen articles talking about it and mentioning whether is it really necessary to use neonicotinoids on your seeds. However, there's an article that brought up an interesting point about the fact that if you want to, you know, have a crop that doesn't use neonicotinoids, it's actually pretty difficult to get non-neonicotide seeds, as far as I know, at least. I don't buy seeds on a regular basis, so that's definitely part of the reason why. But the fact that some farmers are mentioning the fact that it is difficult to find seeds is pretty interesting, because it's one of those things that you think should be being the key word here, easy. You know, having the options available to do whatever you'd like, but it doesn't always work that way, because you do get forced into these situations where whatever's available, that's what you use, right? So, and sometimes what's available is neonicotide seeds or coated seeds, and there's nothing out there. Well, at least in Canada. Maybe, I'm sure it's different in the United States. It's always different in different countries and different areas and different provinces, even different areas, actually. So if you are in an area like, I don't know, Toronto, let's say, what you're gonna have available to you is gonna be different than what you're gonna have in Ottawa or Montreal. Is it gonna be really different? I don't know. Maybe not really different, but it will be different to a certain extent. So probably noticed I turned around up there. I just got sick of going around in a circle, I guess, and that's why I did that. Perhaps not the most effective way, but it works for me. And I don't think it really makes a difference how you do it with this, but If it were, you know, if I was putting in a windrows, yes, of course, I think it would make more of a difference, but in this scenario, I don't think it really changes anything. Although I often wonder whether your yield is affected in these situations where you just spread it out all over the place like this. I think that maybe it makes a difference. I don't know. If I had a hobby farm, I wonder what it would be like. I wonder if I would use older equipment like this or try and have some newer stuff. That's an interesting question. I don't know. While I like the older equipment, and actually I guess it would be easier to get a hold of as well, because there's always older equipment out there, and there's always something you can pick up for a decent price, if you're good at bargaining at least. And there's, unfortunately these days, there's a lot of farmers who are retiring, so picking up some of the older pieces of equipment are, well, it is easier, I should say. Not easy, but easier. So, but it's funny, on the other hand, if you look at how easy it is to get started as a farmer these days, it's not. Not at all. It's probably one of the more difficult careers to try and jump into, that's for sure. I only know of, I've never met the person, but I know of one person who kind of went from broadcast, actually, into farming. And he still does broadcast to a certain extent. He does a podcast and whatnot. And he made the jump over, and he's doing fairly well. He's actually a farm manager now at a farm. And he still runs his own farm, but it took a back burner to a certain extent, only because of financial reasons and whatnot. So he basically couldn't just do the off-farm stuff. You know, he couldn't just do the farming stuff, so he had to find some sort of alternative means of finance, basically. So he became a farm manager, so he's still working on a farm, learning about farming and whatnot, but he's not doing farming exclusively, which makes sense. Yeah, I've talked about that guy before. His name's John Soskovich. He is Camps Road Farm he works for, and where is he based out of? New Milford, Connecticut, I think it is. Wherever that is. It's in Connecticut. I don't know much about the area, so that's where he's based out of, if memory serves. But he used to work for a big company in New York, I think it was. And he actually transferred into farming, and he does, I guess he does farms full-time, but it's not his farm per se, he works for a farmer, so I still think it's pretty awesome. I love hearing stories like that. I don't know. That's what I like listening to, at least. It's funny, if you were to go through my podcast library, the amount of random stuff is in there is pretty funny. Like, I have everything from politics that I listen to on occasion, just because I'm curious about what's going on in the world. Everything from politics to farming. I have a couple farming podcasts on there that I enjoy. Like I said, one's called the Growing Farms podcast. That's John Soskovich. And then the Beginning Farmer podcast with Ethan Book. Both of those guys have pretty solid podcasts. Ethan Book's podcast is kind of like more in relation to beginning farming, and he has these hard lessons learned and whatnot. Whereas John Soskovich is more the business side of things, which is interesting because a lot of the other podcasts I have, or I listen to at least, are all fairly business based. So there was a time when I listened to a lot of business related podcasts, but now I don't listen to as many, only because it's not my focus. I went through a time when I spent a lot of time reading about business and marketing and whatnot, and it was interesting. I go through phases like that where I get really interested in something. So, oh goodness, it's funny. At the time of recording this, what are we? October 25th. This is when I'm recording this, and this will actually go out after Farm Sim 15's been released, I imagine. Which is going to be kind of funny, because everyone will be swooning over Farm Sim 15, and here I have a video on Farm Sim 2013. But you gotta admit, like, it's hard to contend with some of the old school stuff like this, and it's going to be a while before, I think at least, before we see some of these old school mods like this Farmall, for example, and this Rake. Maybe they'll come in quickly. I don't know. It's hard to say whether Whether or not it'll be a quick thing or not. I don't know. From what I remember from transferring mods from 2011 to 2013, changing a mod to do that, well, to go from 2013 or 2011 to 2013 was actually really easy. So I can only assume that it'll be the same for 2013 to 2015. I don't know. It's hard to say. I just hope the quality of mods is high. Let's say that. I don't like bad mods, or try not to pick any up. Alright, sweet. Let's hop out and change this to, let's raise the stars, I call it. That's so cool. And I believe if I come around, is it here at the end here? We want it in windrower mode. There we go. And let's grab this guy here again. And then let's just position it first. Because I believe you can't really stop it once you start it, basically. And apparently I missed the end of that trailer. There we go. Perfect. Let's... If I go this way, I'll put it in towards the middle. I think I better do it the other way around. This might be a bit better. The initial pass will be a bit not as good, but after that it'll be good. But I think what we'll do is we'll leave that for now, and we'll come back next episode, and we'll do that next episode. So, my name's Iain Robson. This has been Farming Simulator 2015. Done it again. 2013. Coming at you from Smithfield Farm. Catch you guys later.